Welcome back, everybody, to Zlatan's Fight Picks. Sorry for the delay. We're running a little late. We are late on Friday, and tomorrow is fight night. So should have had this video yesterday. Try to get it out today. Realized today that there's a fight that I actually missed with Woodson and Bazooka. For some reason, I had thought that there was a fight. Well, the fight got canceled twice, and then I realized they had rebooked it. And I think the last guy almost had the same name. It started with a B, and I thought for some reason it was the same one. So then I had to evaluate the fight with this guy. So that added on to the time. So sorry for the delay. So let's go over this UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Font. We'll get this done as fast as we can. We'll go over the board. Let's see if we could do better than last week. Let's see if we could do 100%. All right, starting from the bottom. Ode Osborne versus Asu Almabayev. Ode Osborne, 5'7", 73-inch reach, 12 wins, 5 losses, 31 years old. Asu Almabayev, 5'4", who don't have a reach for him, 17 wins, 2 losses, 29 years old. Ode Osborne, great fighter, middle of the road fighter. Tall, lanky, fast twitch muscles, really quick, lots of highlights for knockouts. He's good, he's fast, he starts great. I think he gasses and I think he slows down as the fight goes on. He's knocked out, has phenomenal knockouts. He's been knocked out phenomenally as well. And he hasn't really fought a real wrestler yet. So, and I saw him wrestle heavy last time against Charles Johnston. And then by the end of it, they were so gassed. These guys were just drained, and he didn't look very good at the end. They were just kind of flopping around. Asu Almabayev. Nothing really stood out from this guy. He seemed pretty good. I find him a little on the short side. And I always find like that's not the all answer, but it always is. It's never an asset, apart from being talented. You could still be short like Alexander Volkanovski for the division and still be well above everybody else. But starting off, he's a little shorter. His reach is going to be a little less. I think that he seemed to have a really good gas tank. I watched some of his old fights. He looked a lot better in his newer fights. He looks like he's really improved. I think he fought Tagir years ago, and I think Tagir beat him. He ended up tapping out in the third round, but it looked like that was like 7 years ago. So he was younger, and it looks like his whole fighting style just changed up a little bit, or he just got better. Mind you, fighting Tagir at any time is going to be a problem because he's, not top 10, but I think he's top 15 in this division. Nevertheless, at first, I had picked Ode Osborne to win this fight, and I thought, you know what? Ode Osborne has fought the higher level of competition. Apart from a couple of drawbacks, he's got a really good chance of an early knockout. But the more I looked into it, the more I realized, well, if he doesn't get that early knockout, what happens is the rounds go on. And I think as the rounds go on, and if this guy can get his wrestling game going, which is what his game is, and he keeps shooting and get tiring out Osborne, I think he's going to go and win a decision. So I flipped it. I went from Osborne, and I'm going to pick Almabayev for a decision victory for this. And it's going to be close. Next fight, Sean Woodson versus Dennis Bazookai. This is the fight that I just did, actually. So Sean Woodson, 6'2", 78-inch reach, 9 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 31 years old. Dennis Bazookai, 5'11", 70-inch reach, 11 wins, 2 losses, 35 years old. Sean Woodson looks like a world beater until he ran into Saldana last time, and Saldana dropped him twice. And if Saldana didn't mess it up and kind of walk around and not hit him again after he fell down, and then knee him, and the second time he knocked him down, he ran up to him and kneed him in the face while he was down. Saldana would have beat him that fight, and that fight ended up being a draw. So Woodson looked really good, and he didn't look good in that fight. But then again, Saldana is really dangerous in the first round and a half, and then he gasses. He's an excellent striker. He was only, like 3 inches shorter than Sean Woodson. depending on which stats you read, Bazookai was 5'9", and then you see another one 5'11". He's 5'11" because I saw the weigh-ins and they looked close in height, which is too bad because I thought Sean Woodson would be a lot taller. So I'm leaning towards Sean Woodson. I think he's the much better striker, boxer, especially at range. He's going to be able to win this by decision. Buzukai, the problem with him is this: he's good at everything, but he just doesn't look like he's really good at anything. Like he just good at everything, and he could take a punch, he could take some punishment, he could possibly take you to the ground, he can kick you, he can punch you, but he just doesn't look sensational in everything. And I just don't know if he's UFC caliber material. I think he's close, but then Woodson has fought UFC caliber material. So I'm going to go with Sean Woodson, figuring that he's slightly better and just fought the better competition. And Buzukai, yeah, I don't know. I think they just kind of grasped, even though he was in the Contender Series a couple times, they just decided like, hey, we need somebody to fight Woodson. And realistically, Woodson is at the bottom part of his division. So, I mean, there shouldn't be too far off, but I'm still thinking Woodson's going to be able to win this fight on the feet and at range. Next fight, Cody Durden versus Jake Hadley. Cody Durden, 5'7", 67-inch reach, 15 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw, 32 years old. Jake Hadley, 5'7", 70-inch reach, 10 wins, 1 loss, 26 years old. Both these guys I bet against. Both of them, I always... I don't, not really fond, like, I don't think they're sensational. When Durden came on, it's like, oh, I'm going to wrestle. Then he got his ass beat for a little bit. And Jake Hadley came on the scene. Oh, I'm the future and this and that. And then Nascimento, beat him on the ground and he lost his first fight. So I bet against both of these guys. But I got to admit, Durden has definitely turned it up. He's definitely improved a lot of stuff. He's a really good wrestler. He's improved the wrestling game. He's definitely improved himself on the ground to defend against chokes and submissions because that's how he had lost before. And he's got tremendous cardio. Apparently, he works really hard, and he looks like he works really hard because, when he fought Johnson, it was the cardio and the wrestling that won him that fight. Jake Hadley, I think after the Nascimento fight, he seemed like, he's always been a good grappler. I mean, comparing yourself to Nascimento, is a tall task. I kind of went back and forth on this one. But you know what? I really think Jake Hadley's going to get this because I think he's the better striker. I think Durden taking him to the ground is not going to help Durden. I think he's going to get points to take him to the ground. I don't think he's going to be able to control him on the ground. And I think he might be able to control him on the ground for a little bit, but I think Hadley is so dangerous that it could be a problem for Durden being on the ground. And having said that, he's so dangerous, I think he can use his submissions, if anything, to get back up. Now, it's just a matter of how are they going to score this? Number one, is Durden going to be able to score enough punches? You know how the wrestlers go. You're always scared about them taking you down, and that makes their striking more effective. So that's one way Durden can improve his striking, just because the fact that he might, with the threat of being the takedown for Hadley will be more susceptible to certain punches. And how will the judges score Durden taking him down multiple times? Because I think Hadley's going to be getting up multiple times. But overall, Hadley is too dangerous on the feet and too dangerous on the ground. And I think one mistake by Durden and it might cost him. So I'm going to go with Hadley on this one to win this fight. Next fight, Billy Quarantillo versus Damon Jackson. Billy Q, 5'10", 76-inch reach, 17 wins, 5 losses, 34 years old. Damon Jackson, 5'11", 71-inch reach, 22 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw, 34 years old. Same age. I've never been impressed by Billy Q. Everyone likes this guy, and actually, he seems like a really nice guy. But he's consistent. He's not a bad striker. He's not a super powerful striker. He's not a bad wrestler, not a super great wrestler. But his claim to fame is he's going to keep pressuring you until you get tired and hits his gas tank. I don't know how that's going to work out for him in this fight, because Damon Jackson, even though people always say he seems to gas at the end, yeah, he's got a good 2 rounds in him. Maybe he's been getting better at it. Having said that, when he is tired, he can take you to the ground, and when he gets on your back, he can keep you there the whole round. So Damon Jackson's got some power in his hands. He might not be the best striker, but he's definitely got some power, sneaky power in his hands. And when he gets to the ground, he's got great control on the ground. Damon Jackson is the underdog, but I just can't see him losing this fight against Billy Q. I think even though Damon Jackson got knocked out by Ige, I mean, that's really no surprise. Ige, I mean, Damon Jackson's a good fighter. He's definitely not top 10. Neither is Billy Q. So once you get to that level, these guys are going to get knocked out by guys like Ige, kind of thing. So it's no surprise. Billy Quarantillo got knocked out as well by the Brazilian guy, a head kick or something. I can't remember what his name was. Yeah, so both of them got knocked out. I'm thinking that Billy Q is slipping a little bit. I think that, I mean, you got to take and absorb a lot of punishment to put that kind of pressure and to tire everybody out. So I'm going to go with Damon Jackson on this one. He is the underdog, but I think he's going to pull this off. Jeremiah Wells versus Karsten Harris. Jeremiah Wells, 5'9", 74-inch reach, 12 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 36 years old. Karsten Harris, 6 feet tall, 76-inch reach, 18 wins, 5 losses, 36 years old. Same age. They're at the peak of their career. They're not getting any better. What you see is what you get. No, but they didn't improve from the last time they fought. These are the guys. Whatever you saw last time is what you're going to see this time. If anything, they're only going to get worse. Jeremiah Wells, he's a guy who came in first. I bet against him. And you know what? I've never bet against him since. And it's been working out for me. So I don't think I'm going to bet against him here. He's very explosive. He's very dynamic. He's got a lot of energy. He can go full 3 rounds. He's a good wrestler. He's got crazy punches. He puts a lot of pressure on you. I mean, what's not to like about this guy? Karsten Harris, he's like, he's taller, he's lankier, but he's just not explosive. He can box, he can strike. Yeah, he's okay. I mean, I don't think he's great. He might be a better technical striker than Jeremiah. He's definitely not more powerful. And then I think that his striking is, I don't know, just kind of slow. And I think most of his victories are because he hasn't really fought anybody good. So I think the level of competition for Wells has been much higher. I think he's done much better. Karsten Harris, I can't pick him in this one. I think Wells is going to beat him. That's the pick. Kyler Phillips versus Raoni Barcelos. Kyler Phillips, 5'8", 72-inch reach, 10 wins, 2 losses, 28 years old. Raoni Barcelos, 5'7", 67-inch reach, 17 wins, 4 losses, 36 years old. 8-inch gap in years in age, 8 years gap in age. Tyler Phillips is going to be the younger guy. He's got a lot more energy. I think Raoni Barcelos is 36 years old. He's definitely peaked. I think he peaked about a year ago, maybe even 2 years, maybe a year and a half ago. I've seen him slipping. I remember seeing him fight, and he looked like a world beater. I think this guy was going to be a contender. And ever since then, I've seen him fight, and it's not like he looks any different or any slower, but he just, it's like those games where you have a power bar and it's at 100, and your fighter looks the same and he moves the same. But then you have the power bar going down to 80 and he fights the same and he moves the same, but it just doesn't have the same power. And that's Raoni Barcelos. He doesn't have the same power. He moves the same, he hits the same, it looks about the same, but the punches and the kicks just don't have the same impact. I mean, they're great. He's really good at striking. He's a great on the ground. But I just think he's starting to power down. And Kyler Phillips, he got suspended for PED, so he has performance-enhancing drugs or whatever. I think he's been gone for a couple of years, and he's really hungry, and he's always been really good. I mean, I don't think those performance-enhancing drugs, well, they might have, who knows, maybe they made all the difference, but this guy's pretty talented. He's very fast, starts off fast, got crazy moves and crazy kicks and crazy punches, good on the ground. I don't see Raoni beating him anywhere, apart from a lucky knockout, which I can't even see because Phillips can take a punch. And he's quick. I can't see Raoni beating him anywhere. I think Kyler Phillips is going to have a big debut and get back into the mix since he's been gone for at least 2 years. So Kyler Phillips is the pick. Moving on. Ignacio Bahamondes versus Ludovic Klein. Ignacio Bahamondes, 6'3", 75.5-inch reach, 14 wins, 4 losses, 25 years old. Ludovic Klein, 5'7", 72.5-inch reach, 14 wins, 9 losses, 28 years old. About the same age. Here's the thing. I saw the weigh-ins. There's no way there's an 8-inch difference in height. There's no way. I don't know where the measurements came from, but there was like maybe a 4-inch difference. I mean, 5, you're pushing it. I thought it was about 4-inch height difference when they were standing next to each other. I don't know where these measurements came from. And Ignacio Bahamondes was my first pick, and because of that size difference, it was definitely going to be my pick. But having seen, like, why would they exaggerate the size difference? I mean, usually I don't trust that. Whenever they exaggerate the size difference, they're always trying to do something, or they're trying to manipulate something in a certain way. I don't like it. Conspiracy theory, all right? But nevertheless, I mean, Ludovic Klein has always had a problem with taller fighters. Look at his last fight when he fought, who did he fight last? The guy from England, Jai Herbert. He had a problem with him. He fought to a draw, but Jai Herbert lost a point. I bet on Jai Herbert. I think Ludovic Klein has problems with guys who are really tall. Now, Ignacio Bahamondes, he fights well with his height, and he uses it really well. He's a great striker, great kicker, keeps people at distance, keeps people at range, and he's getting better at it too, so he's young. So my initial pick is going to be Bahamondes, but you'll see how I put it on the chart. This fight is my least confidence, just because of what I saw at the weigh-ins and just the size difference. And that means Ludovic Klein is fighting at a much closer range. Ludovic Klein is going to be the stronger guy, you know. If Ignacio Bahamondes wasn't so good on the ground and dangerous, I would have flipped it completely over Ludovic Klein. But having said that, when I show you the board, I mean, given that I think this fight's going to be so close, it's what I always said even last week, is like, do you really want to pick the favorite when you think it's going to be like almost a 50-50 fight, even though you might be leaning towards somebody? That would be the question. But nevertheless, we'll go over that in the board later. Ignacio Bahamondes will be the pick. Next fight, Tanner Boser versus Alexa Kamur. Tanner Boser, 6'2", 75.5-inch reach, 20 wins, 10 losses, 1 draw, 31 years old. Alexa Kamur, 6'1", 74-inch reach, 6 wins, 2 losses, 27 years old. About the same age. Tanner Boser obviously got a lot more experience. I mean, he's been fighting for a long time. You know, he's been tested for a while. He's fought at heavyweight. He went down to light heavyweight. His first debut in light heavyweight was absolute disaster. I had money on him. It was terrible. You know, I thought he was going to win for sure. But he got caught with one punch. And, you know, realistically, in that, Cutelaba caught him with a straight. And then he knocked him down. And he did knock him out. I mean, he got back up. But Cutelaba jumped on him, tried to keep him on the ground, couldn't keep him on the ground, and tied up one of his hands. And Boser was standing up. And meanwhile, Cutelaba was not throwing super powerful shots, but kept throwing them as fast as he could, hitting them as much as he could while he was slowly inching up, and the ref stopped it. The ref gave him another 5 seconds. I think he would have got up. I don't know if he would have got put back down, like as in like a takedown, but if he could have tied up Cutelaba, he could have survived. He could have very well won that fight. So he wasn't completely out of it. So, I mean, he's gonna, his speed was there with the heavyweights. It doesn't look like it's as good as he doesn't look as fast with the light heavyweights. But having seen him fight Cutelaba, I think that he got caught with a straight punch, but he looked like he was counter striking very well against him. He was only slightly faster, but still faster. So Tanner Boser, good counter striker. Alexa Kamur, great boxer, better technical striker, I guess, boxing wise. Apparently working on his takedowns. I have seen him try to take people down. You won't see Boser take anybody down. He just has takedown defense. I mean, here's the thing. Again, the 50-50 kind of thing. I've got Tanner Boser. I think he's going to win this. He's going to be counter-striking. I think Alexa Kamur has much more volume. I think Tanner Boser doesn't have volume. But I think Alexa Kimura will have a problem with the volume because of the counter striking. I think that'll affect his volume when you come in to strike and then you get counter strike, you're going to hesitate. So I think that's going to level out. And I think the more power might be from Boser. We know Boser can take a shot too, even though he got knocked down that last fight. And Kimura is pretty tough. He can take a shot. But, you know, looking at the level of opponents, I think Boser has fought much more powerful strikers. So the pick is going to be Tanner Boser, but it's going to be one of those, it's going to be so close. You can pick the underdog, who happens to be Kimura. And I've got it on the board where, you know, I wouldn't hate anyone for picking the underdog in this one because it's going to be close, really close. Alexa Kimura is fighting on the one hand, they're giving him the bottom three. I think Tanner Boser is like the bottom three of the light heavyweights. So they're giving him guys that he should be able to beat. But I think because Tanner Boser got a bad kind of beat, I think he's better than what his number is. And I think Kimura might have a problem with that. That's why I'm leaning towards Boser. But going to, you know, to a decision and having Kimura being the more volume guy and better boxer, I mean, it could go that way. So, I mean, I'm picking Boser, but you'll see on the board, it's one of those things. It's the last three that I got up there. It's, well, it could be anybody. It's kind of like last week. Last week I picked the bottom two, except for the women's division because it's always at the bottom, were two underdogs. And I said, well, if they're going to be a 50-50 fight, I think it's going to be close. I'm going to just pick the underdogs. And unfortunately, those two underdogs didn't win. But there's other underdogs that did. But this is the same kind of thing because these are, anybody can win this. I mean, you could easily go both ways. I'm going to lean towards the guys I just said. But having said that, if you were to do a parlay and you took those guys out and swapped them out with the other guys, you'd be good. Or even if you did your bets individually, I mean, realistically, you know, you're probably better off taking the underdogs. Nevertheless, Boser's going to be the pick. Moving on, Diego Lopez versus Gavin Tucker. Diego Lopez, 5'11", 72.5-inch reach, 21 wins, 6 losses, 28 years old. Gavin Tucker, 5'6", 66-inch reach, 13 wins, 2 losses, 37 years old. There's a 9-year age gap. That's a problem. That's not good. So Gavin Tucker hasn't fought in 2.5 years. I think he's gone through a lot of surgeries and stuff like that, and he just wasn't healthy. But now he's back at 37. Good to see him back. He left the fight game. Well, he left it on a low note because he got knocked out by Ige. But before that, he was doing really good. He looked sensational. I mean, that's why they gave him a shot with Ige, right? But after that, he disappeared. Diego Lopez did a sensational debut against Mozarov. And he made a good account of himself, even took one of the rounds from him and came close to submitting him with a knee bar at the end. I mean, everybody was just blown away at this kid. Fought really hard and, you know, real likable type of character. So he is the favorite in this one. I think he's good. He's tough. He can take a punch. He's pretty good at striking. Goes, you know, full board. Great on the ground. Great jiu-jitsu. Black belt. He's an instructor. But he's fighting Gavin Tucker. Now, Gavin Tucker, as he could prove that he might be a little shorter, but he can make up that with his movement. He's a good striker. He's good on the ground. He's got good takedowns. He's pretty good at defending, you know, submissions. If this was Gavin Tucker 3 years ago, I would go with Gavin Tucker. But this is Gavin Tucker 2 years, 3 years after the fact of him leaving for surgeries and now coming back at 37. I just can't do it, you know. And he's from Canada. I wanna bet on him, but unfortunately, Diego Lopez seems very dynamic, very young, very hungry. Gavin Tucker coming back. I mean, you know, it's kind of the perfect setup fight for Diego Lopez to look really good against the guy who, when he left, was really good. So Diego Lopez is going to be the pick on this one. You know, I think it's going to be a great fight. Both of them throw down, and yeah, it's going to be good. But Diego Lopez is going to come out on top. Next fight, Justin Jacoby versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. I guess you say the N with the Z. Ninchukwe or Zinchukwe? It's a hard one. Gotta practice my Nigerian. Kennedy Nzechukwu. Dustin Jacoby, 6'3", 76 reach, 18 wins, 7 losses, 1 draw, 35 years old. Kennedy Nzechukwu, 6'5", 83 reach, 12 wins, 3 losses, 31 years old. Dustin Jacoby, 35 years old. He's not over the hill, but he's definitely at his peak. Kennedy Nzechukwu is 31 years old. He is getting older, but this guy's only been fighting for a few years, so he doesn't have a lot of mileage on him. But he's getting better every time, too. You see him. He's always getting better and better. Justin Jacoby, great striker. He's going to be the better, more polished striker out of the two. Kennedy Nzechukwu is going to be the more powerful of the two. He's bigger and he's more powerful, that's for sure. And Kennedy has also got submissions, and he can also take people to the ground. Mind you, Jacoby can take people to the ground, but realistically, he takes him down just for points. Kennedy can actually control you and possibly submit you. He's getting better at that. And he's got good submissions standing up. As you saw last time against Devin Clark, he did a standing guillotine choke. It was nasty. But this is another one I went back and forth on. And, my initial pick is Kennedy, and I'm going to stick with Kennedy. I think, but, looking at the fights with Justin, remember, Justin knocked out the guy that knocked out Kennedy. So, that's neither here nor there. Everyone has an off night. And the style of the fights compared to each other were different. Justin's going to be the faster guy on the outside. He's going to be able to throw a lot of shots. But I don't think he's the more powerful guy. I think Kennedy still, if you look at the volume, they're very comparable in volume. And Kennedy's going to have the stronger or more powerful punches. Dustin's going to be just more accurate. And he's going to be moving a lot better. This, again, it's one of those, you pick the underdog, like the underdog is Justin Jacoby. And you'll see on the board, this is the bottom part of my confidence, is this goes to a decision and Jacoby could win this, right? If it's going to be a stoppage, the chances are it's going to be Kennedy, but Jacoby's not a real guy who gets stopped normally. Not that it can't happen. I'm going to lean Kennedy. If people are picking Jacoby, and you'll see that because he's the underdog, that wouldn't be a crazy bet either. But I've seen Jacoby lose a fight against Roundtree where he threw way more and Roundtree threw way harder, and they gave Roundtree the fight. Now, some people said, well, that was totally unfair. Yeah, it might have been, because it was ridiculously different in the shots. But if you watch the fight and you look at the damage, it's like Roundtree, whenever he was hitting him, you would notice, if Jacoby hit him 10 times, you didn't even notice it. It was just like pitter patter, and then all of a sudden Roundtree would hit him with a couple of big looping rights and lefts, and you'd hear it. So I can see how the judges would feel it. So nevertheless, and that could be the case in this one. So I'm going to go with Kennedy. Jacoby is definitely live for an underdog play, for sure. Moving on, Jessica Andrade versus Tatiana Suarez. Jessica Andrade, 5'1", 62 reach, 24 wins, 11 losses, 31 years old. Tatiana Suarez, 5'5", 66 reach, 10 wins, 32 years old. I think Tatiana Suarez is going down now to the next weight class. So she still should look pretty good. Jessica Andrade definitely should be in this weight class. She's short, she's powerful, but she's too short. She can't reach. She's only 31 years old, but you know what? I've lost twice with Jessica Andrade in the last 2 fights that she fought. She just looks like Jessica Andrade, and everyone seems to have leveled up their fighting game, and Jessica Andrade is doing exactly the same thing. And I don't think she's getting any better. Tatiana Suarez has taken a long layoff. She was really good before she left. She's really good now. I can't see Jessica beating her. And I bet twice on Jessica Andrade, and I lost. Still mad. But Tatiana Suarez, this is a high level confidence that apart from something fluky, this girl's going to dominate this fight and finish it. Nevertheless, moving on. Main event, Corey Sandhagen versus Rob Font. Corey Sandhagen, 5'11", 70 reach, 16 wins, 4 losses, 31 years old. Rob Font, 5'8", 71.5 reach, 20 wins, 6 losses, 36 years old. Hey, Rob Font took this on short notice, Credit to him. But you know what? Rob Font is 36 years old. He's peaking. Absolutely. Corey Sagan, is he peaking? Well, he's at his peak, but he's going to stay there a lot longer. Looking at this fight, I think Rob Font is shorter. He's got reach. I don't think it's going to make a difference in this one. I think Corey Sandhagen beats him in too many places. If you're going to stand and exchange punches in a phone booth and Rob Font might be able to win that or be even with Sandhagen. But as far as absorbing punishment, kicks, taking people to the ground, and just overall mixed martial artist, Corey Sandhagen's got to beat everywhere. I can't see Corey Sandhagen losing this fight. High confidence pick. Corey Sandhagen is going to beat Rob Font. Rob Font, good on him for taking it on short notice. At 36 years old, you know what? I think he's going to take a few of these because the fact is that I'm sure he got bonused out big time for saving this fight card. So at 36 years old, I don't think he's going to be the champ. I think he knows he's not going to be the champ. He might as well make some money and take these fights and beat game and make some bank before he retires. That's it, and I'm going to go to the board right now. Oh, just some things on here. Well, you know how I always never ever look at the camera. So the other day I found something my daughter made on my den and left it on my desk. And I got it, so now I got to move it because it's going to fall. So I found it. I'm like, I'm going to put this on top of the camera so I can actually look at the camera. I go, thanks, sweetie. I'm going to use this. I'm a cat. I like cats. So that's what I'm using on top of the camera. So now, hopefully, I got more eye contact instead of always looking down. Although sometimes when I'm reading, it won't matter anyway because I'm just reading and I can't look up. My eyes don't go that way. All right, let's do this. You guys can see that? I think so, yeah. I'm going to move this a little bit. Hold on. Let's see if that helps. Yeah, that helps. All right. Most confident, Sandhagen. You know, the jinx of the most confident has faded and gone. For a while there, my 2 or 3 most confident would always be the ones losing. So you never know. But for a while it was a streak. But now the streak's the other way. Sandhagen, most confident pick. You know, definitely think he's going to win. Very highly unlikely. Suarez, usually I don't have the women decide. I usually have them at the bottom end of it just because they're always so unpredictable. But I got a high degree of confidence Suarez is going to win this and control this on the ground. Next most confident, you know what? I wasn't sure if I was going to do this, but I put Woodson up there. Short notice fight for Bazooka. And I think that, I think it's not going to go well for him. I think he's going to lose this fight. I don't know. I don't think he's going to get blown out of the water, but I think Woodson's going to win this on points. Next fight, Phillips. He's coming back. He's hungry. He's fighting Raoni Barcelos. He wants to get right back up there in the mix. Next fight, Hadley. I think Hadley's going to be too much for Durden. Durden's a great wrestler. You got a guy who's good on the ground and put you in submissions and get back up. So it's going to be an issue for Durden. Moving on, Wells. Wells too explosive. Going to be next. Jackson. He's my first underdog, Jackson. Lopez. Lopez is going to be too much for Gavin Tucker. I think he's going to it's going to look really good for him in this fight. Amadaev. This guy came in from Kazakhstan in Asia, and he's been like the most winningest featherweight or whatever it is, or bantamweight. I don't think he showed up all this way to lose. And I don't even think they want him to lose. So I think they gave him a guy that hasn't faced a wrestler before on purpose. Nevertheless, these are the last 3. Now, the last 3 are the most likely that they could go both ways. Now, my picks officially are going to be Bozer, Nchukwe, and Bahawendes. But if anybody was to go for the underdog against Bozer, Kamur, or the underdog Jacoby against Nchukwe, or the underdog Klein, and this is a real wild card. And I'm only going with this because what I saw physically when they stood against each other is something about it I didn't like. Now, it could mean nothing and I could be wrong. Bahawendes is going to be my pick. But if you went for the underdog, which for me I will have some bets on some underdogs and parlays where I have this parlay and I might even include some underdogs as well. So I'm going to mix it up. And again, like I said, this is my most confident, the least confident. Take all this information and use what you think is good for you. Disregard stuff that you disagree with. Hopefully it's going to help you in making some decisions with some of the breakdowns and how confident I am in certain ones. Again, this is not financial advice. Bet only what you can afford to lose. This is still a fight gambling type of bet. So, and in a fight, anything can happen. Somebody can have a bad night and they're going to go to sleep. And it might be the guy you bet money on. So only bet what you can lose. So here you go. So to me, I would, if you did bet individually, you can do that. If you bet on the parlay, you can do that. And then you know what? You could even swap it out and bet on all the underdogs at the end of the parlay. Or you could just stop the parlay right about here and cut it short, or cut it anywhere you like. Look at how far down you want to go. The further down you go, the more risk it is, because it's less and less likely to happen, less and less confidence. Nevertheless, Bet Online, link is in the description if you want to sign up for Bet Online, 50% deposit match. Buy me a coffee, link is in the description. If you like the content, feel free to buy me a coffee. Let's turn this around and wrap this up. All right. All right, thank you very much for joining me tonight. Don't forget to smash the like button if you like the content. Subscribe if you like the content and if you want to get notifications, or you don't even have to get notifications. As a matter of fact, it won't cost you any money. You can subscribe and not get notifications anyway. So it'll just help you with the algorithm. Please feel free to comment. I love it when you guys comment, and I'll always respond. Sometimes maybe not right away because I don't see it right away. But other than that, good luck everybody with the fights tomorrow, and we'll do the recap next week, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully we're going to knock it out of the park and hit all of them. Thank you very much for joining me again. See you guys next week.